What's going on, Packer fans? Happy Wednesday. Welcome into an all-new episode of the Pack a Day podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. Jordan Love is back at practice. We will get to all of that in just a moment. Plus, we will get to all of our grades from week 2. Before we get there, a couple things to take care of. First, shout out first to our brand new Pack a Day podcast YouTube members, Don Olson, Huck899, Joe Leach, William Jedlicka, Matthias Smith, and Danuke420. Appreciate you guys signing up and becoming brand new Pack a Day podcast YouTube members. If you haven't checked out the YouTube memberships yet, now is the time. Tomorrow's pregame show, or a preview show, I should say, Titans-Packers with Aaron Nagler will be for members only tomorrow. You also get the members-only Q&A, which is also happening on Thursday. So now is a great time to do it. You get a bunch of Ross Uglum content, and then some bonus videos from myself as well. So a lot of options out there. Make sure to check it out. Also, shout out to Luigi's Pizza, my favorite pizza in the world. We are going to be talking about, first of all, today, the Luigi's Pizza player of the game from week 2. And of course, it is going to be Malik Willis. Malik Willis is very deserving. Could we have given it to Eric Wilson? Yes. Could we have given it to Josh Jacobs, sans fumble maybe? Yes. The offensive line, Matt LaFleur maybe should have been in conversation here. But when you get picked up less than 3 weeks, from having to start in the game and needing to be thrown into the fray like that and starting for a team not expected, and you have to go and basically call the entire game in the huddle, make sure that everything goes off without a hitch, that you are making sure you take care of the football, not making mistakes, throwing accurately, running when needed. There was a ton on his plate. And for him to go out and deliver that game and get Green Bay a victory in a game that I think a lot of people weren't sure at all what to expect out of Malik Willis in that game. I know he wasn't asked to do a ton as a thrower in this game, but what he was asked to do was to manage the game, get Green Bay in and out of the calls, just have the cadence, have the ability to use the vernacular of the offense, which is hard enough in and of itself. And he did that phenomenally. So without further ado, our week 2 Luigi's Pizza player of the week is Malik Willis. And by the way, if you have yet to try Luigi's Pizza, well, here's your opportunity. Luigi's is giving away 6 free pizzas for every Packers victory. Just follow Luigi's Pizza at LuigesPizza. There's a lot of other wannabe Luigi's pizzas. This is the real one, LuigesPizza, and Pack a Day Podcast on Twitter, and use the hashtag Luigi's Victory Pizza, and winners will be chosen on the pregame show this Sunday. So they're giving away 6 free pizzas based on this Packers win. They're going to do it every single time the Packers win. So again, at Luigi's Pizza and at Pack a Day Podcast, follow both on Twitter and tweet hashtag Luigi's Victory Pizza, and you'll be entered to win one of those 6 free pizzas. All right. Jordan Love is back. He is practicing on Wednesday. I am sure he will be limited to some extent on the injury report. I am recording this pre-Matt LaFleur press conference. I'm recording this pre-injury report, but my guess is he is limited in some capacity. Here is my take on Jordan Love. I have no clue. I have absolutely zero idea. From one side of things, first of all, he's practicing. We heard Rob Domofsky report that he was close to playing last week and that it was not some charade that he was listed as questionable on the injury report. And again, now he's practicing. Matt LaFleur said in order for him to play, they would like to see him practice. And what does he do on Wednesday? Not on Friday, not the day before they leave. On Wednesday, he is out there practicing. Okay, it sounds like he's playing. On the flip side, the Schefters and the Rappaports continue to report that this is multiple weeks, that they're hopeful that maybe he's back by Minnesota or the Rams game. Not this week, maybe not next week, maybe the following week. And you also see the Vegas line. Now, the Vegas line moved ever so slightly. I'm going to check it one more time as I'm recording this here. It was at like 3 to 3.5 back and forth. Now with the news of Jordan practicing, it's only down to 2.5. Maybe Vegas just thinks even if Jordan plays that it's still Titans, or maybe they're just not buying at all that Jordan's going to play. So the national reporters and seemingly Vegas are on, no, this is going to be Malik Willis. The Packers have been very seemingly like, this is day to day. Like, we think he's close. He was per Rob Domofsky, he was close last week. He practiced on Wednesday. I have no idea. Your guess is as good as my guess, is as good as anyone's guess at this point. And I just honestly have no idea if he's going to play in this game or not. But clearly a great sign that he was out there on Wednesday and that he was practicing in some capacity. And if he can go, they will go. They will let him play. There are a couple things to look at here. And I agree with Matt. I said this all last week. or I should say after the win, them picking up a win or them losing that game has no bearing whatsoever on Jordan playing this upcoming week. None. You make that a medical decision 100 times out of 100. So this is going to be just, is Jordan Love ready to play or not? And how they will have to go about deciding that is clearly cleared at least to practice. Will he be cleared for game action? Do they feel like he can protect himself? Is there risk of re-injury? And how does Jordan feel coming off of the practice? How does he feel tomorrow, a day after actually practicing? These are all going to be the things that ultimately decide. And like I said last week, we are talking about a minuscule sliver of time in Jordan Love's remaining career that he is going to miss due to this injury. Maybe it's 1 week, maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe it's no more weeks at all. But whatever it ends up being, this will be a very, very small portion of his career. You don't want it to risk anything more catastrophic. You don't want him to be put in harm's way because he can't move up, the way that he needs to get out of harm's way. All of those sort of things. So all of those will go into the discussion, and I think we'll get a better indication on Thursday and Friday. If he continues to practice, we'll get a better indication. I think he'll be questionable no matter what. Even if he practices Thursday and Friday, looks great, feels great, I'm sure they'll probably still list him as questionable, so I'm not sure we're going to glean anything from the injury report. And it might just be 10:30 a.m. On Sunday that we actually learn whether or not Jordan plays or not, an hour and a half before kickoff when they announce the inactives. And hopefully he can go if he's ready. Again, it's not worth pushing him in any capacity. Do I think Green Bay can win this game with Malik Willis? Yes. Do I think they can win it with Jordan? Yes. Do I think they could lose it both ways? Absolutely. But you clearly have a better opportunity if Jordan's able to go, and we'll see if he does in fact, get the all clear to practice the remainder of the week and then play on Sunday. But again, a great sign that he's back. Meanwhile, players who did not practice, Jaden Reed, Jordan Morgan, and Elton Jenkins, and Carrington Valentine, after stretching with the team, stayed in the Hudson Center apparently for rehab as well. Now, we know that Jaden Reed last week had, the flare-up on the injury report, and there was some question as to whether or not he was going to play. He played. He looked fantastic. Hopefully, this is just maintenance, making sure that they're not utilizing him too much and giving him a little bit more rest to fully recover from that injury more. So hopefully that's the case there. We don't know. Jordan Morgan had the shoulder injury. Sounds like it was the same shoulder as previous. Don't know that 1,000,000% for sure. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. It sounds like he was on the exercise bike, probably doing rehab. We don't have any indication as to whether or not this is going to be a long-term injury, short-term injury. The good news is they already it's not good news that they put Marshawn Lloyd on IR, but if it had been a situation where they thought Morgan was going to be out an extended period, they would have probably done that on the same timeline, but he's not on IR, which means it's hopefully nothing long-term. Then Elton Jenkins, we have seen them give him vet rest days in training camp. I don't know if this is a vet rest day, if there's legitimately something there, but hopefully more of just maintenance and routine time off for Elton. But again, no update as of this time. And then Carrington Valentine played a great game on Sunday. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Hopefully there's nothing there. If so, of course, you can just lean on Eric Stokes if needed, but you don't want to see Valentine have to miss any more time due to injury after missing a bunch of time in training camp with a hamstring. Speaking of those transactions, Marshawn Lloyd was placed on IR on Tuesday, and they did pick up Christopher Brooks and signed him to the active roster off of their practice squad. Now, when the Packers sign back of the roster practice squad guy, I'll look at it. I'll take a cursory glance. Maybe I'll throw on the tape a little bit, but until there's any reason to really check it out too much, I kind of just let it go. I know who he is. I've done a little bit of research on it, but I don't really dive in. But when they brought him up to the active roster, that caught my eye because, obviously they've brought Ellis Merriweather up previously, and now Brooks is the one that they bring up to the 53-man roster. So I went in and I watched the film. My goodness, this is a good running back. I was really impressed. And more importantly, he fits the offense really, really well. And he was with Miami previously, really good yards per attempt, is not shy of contact, was a 7th-round pick in Miami, and he really looks the part. And I'm not saying he's going to come in and be great, but he is certainly an upgrade over Ellis Merriweather and some of the other practice squad backs that they have had here in the past. I think he's better than Lou Nichols, who they drafted in the 7th last year. He looks like a legitimate NFL running back. So I think he's very, competent enough to come in and be this number 3 running back right now. You know who he kind of reminded me of? A little bit of Marshawn Lloyd, to be honest. Now, Lloyd's a little bit shiftier, and I think what you will see out of Brooks is he's a little bit more apt to, not seek contact, but go through contact. But overall, very impressed. Fits the offense great. Can catch the ball to the backfield. Is a big physical back. Should project as somebody who can pick up the blitz. I haven't seen it enough to know whether or not he can, but I was very impressed with the limited amount of tape that he's got in preseason and regular season last year. When he got on the field last year in regular season, he looked really good. So Excited about Christopher Brooks. Think he makes a really nice number 3 running back, and he should complement Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson as the 1 and 2 very well. And I think he can fill that spot. And like I said, much better than I think in Ellis Merriweather or some of the other practice squad backs they've had on the roster. So excited about this one. I think he's going to make a very, very nice number 3 back in Green Bay. And that brings us, of course, to our grades from week 2. I hadn't had the opportunity to get this episode out yet, so this is a perfect time. Love is back. Wanted to talk about that. And now we can kind of go through the grades as well. We'll go through the top grades on offense and defense, the bottom grades on offense and defense, and some other ones that were noteworthy / stuck out. If you want the full grades, you can get them over on PackerReport.com. Highly recommend it. I grade every player on every play for every season, going back to 2017 all the way through now. The numbers not necessarily, you don't have to care about it all that much, but it's just, I think you trend it over time. You can see who's playing well, who's not playing well. And I think it definitely is worthwhile, but we'll get to some of the top and bottom performances here on the episode today. Top graded offensive player, Malik Willis, plus 1.3. And immediately as I posted that out on Twitter the other day, there was a question right away of, really, Malik Willis, he's going to be your top graded offensive player? They literally built the offense so that Malik Willis would not have to be massively involved. They built it so that Malik Willis kind of couldn't screw it up, right? I understand that. I get that. Couple things here. One, the quarterback position inherently, just as we over evaluate it and give it too much credit when they do well and maybe not enough, credit too much credit also when they do poorly, I should say, and they probably don't deserve all of the backlash sometimes. With the grading, it's very similar. Listen, they are the focal point of everything. They touch the ball every single play. There's a lot of opportunities for big plays. There are a ton of opportunities for mistakes. And if you are a quarterback and you go through a game and basically play mistake-free football, there's one throw he's a little bit late to Malik Willis on the wheel route. Yes, there's probably a couple, reads from a pass run option or a handoff or keep option that he probably could have done a little bit better on. My goodness, if those are the things that we're nitpicking through this game and saying these are the things he could have done better, we will take that every single time. His time to throw went down from 3.5 seconds last year in Tennessee, in his starts in playing time in the regular season in Tennessee, to 3.0 basically in preseason this year, to 2.5 seconds in this game. He got rid of the ball. He didn't take any sacks. He didn't put the ball in harm's way. He threw accurately. And then you add on top of that a really nice touchdown pass to Dontavian Wicks, a couple of really nice running plays, a great deep ball down to Romeo Doubs, who Romeo went up and made that play more than Willis made a play on the throw, but he still put it in a great position for Romeo to go get it. When you add in some really good plays, some solid play, and almost no negatives, you're going to end up with a good grade. Like, period, end of story. Efficiency and smart play is the name of the game at quarterback. And certainly when we're going through grades. And if you just don't have any negatives, or at least very few negatives on that side of the ledger, your positives are going to add up enough where you're going to end up with a very good grade. And Malik did in this one. Was he the most important player in this game? Probably not. No, I don't think so. I think there was clearly an emphasis to get this running game going and make Josh Jacobs the focal point of this offense. I think the wide receivers did a great job blocking on the outside and making the most of their opportunities. But Malik Willis did his job. He did it extremely well. Wasn't asked to do a ton, but when he was asked to do something, he did it near flawlessly. And that's why he's the number 1 grade this week at plus 1.30. Number 2 on my list, Elton Jenkins, plus 0.65. I love the way that Elton is playing. And if you have followed me for any period of time whatsoever, I've always said Elton's a really good player. He's not quite as good as maybe people think. And what I mean by that is I think people put him in that all-pro or clear Pro Bowl discussion, and I've just never quite been there. That's not a disparaging remark towards Elton. I think he's a really good player. There are 32 teams that would take Elton and start him in the NFL. Every single team would love to have him. His versatility is massive. He can be a legitimately really good left guard, center, or right guard. He's so freaking valuable. So this is not a disparaging mark towards Elton in any way, shape, or form, but I think sometimes he gets a little bit overrated and put in that very high-end discussion, and I just haven't seen that from him consistently. And that's okay. Not everyone gets to that superhuman level, but what I've seen out of Elton these first 2 weeks is the best football that he has played, in my opinion. And I think he's on a great trend right now with how he is playing. He is moving people in the run game. He is as sound as it gets in pass protection. These are 2 very, very good weeks from Elton. And if he plays like this through the entirety of the season, he is absolutely in that Pro Bowl or maybe even all-pro conversation. So love the way that Elton is playing through 2 weeks so far this year. And then Tucker Kraft. PFF and I see eye to eye on a lot of grades through the course of the season and the week. They have Tucker at near average so far. I love the way that Tucker is playing. He is playing as aggressive as a blocker, as you can tell. You can see him still with the run after the catch ability. He had the one play where they checked it down to him on third down, and he got the yards after the catch to pick up the first down. There was a couple other plays. I think one that was called back due to a illegal man downfield penalty that he had a really nice run at. So he is doing everything. He is a complete all-around tight end. He looks great. I think he's much better than maybe the PFF grade is giving him credit for. And he ended up third on my list on offense this week with a plus 0.55. And if you need to go watch it, just watch the physicality with which he blocks at for a tight end. A couple plays where he's holding up against defensive ends. Just really, really fun stuff to watch right now. And he is a weapon in this Packers offense as both a blocker and as a pass catcher. The beautiful thing of this, my bottom 3 grades on offense, I'm almost positive, I'd have to go back and really look at it. I'm almost positive this is the first time this has ever happened. I've had times where like the third lowest player is graded in the positive or as a neutral or things like that. I don't think I've ever had a side of the ball that did not have a single negative graded player. And this week, my 3 lowest were Ben Sims, Rasheed Walker, and Jordan Morgan, all who had net neutral grades. So plus 0.00 or just 0.00, however you want to view it. They were neutral. None of them graded in the negative. That's amazing. When you talk about the wide receivers, the tight ends, the quarterback, the running backs, everyone, they all graded neutral or better. And Ben Sims just didn't have that many snaps. He had one nice block, one maybe he'd like to have back. It ended up net neutral. Rasheed Walker, definitely some ups and downs in this one. Really like some of the things he did. Had some really rough penalties. The one that took the touchdown off the board was really tough for him, but he had enough positive through the remainder of the game to get that back to neutral. And then Jordan Morgan, just again, normal ups and downs for a rookie. A couple really nice blocks, couple blocks he'd like to have back, but the story here is not Morgan, Walker, Sims, or that the fact that they graded neutral. It's the fact that this offense didn't have a single freaking player grade in the negative. And like I said, I'm almost positive that's the first time that has ever happened for me. Some other noteworthy offensive grades, Josh Jacobs with a plus 0.45 would have been my highest graded player on the day had it not been for the fumble. Not only would the fumble cost him a major grade in this one, but had he had a touchdown run, that would have even helped his grade even more. So he would have easily been the highest graded player on the day had it just not been for that fumble, and had he gotten into the end zone on that play, would have even been higher. So really great day for Josh Jacobs, sans the fumble. Huge negative on the fumble, though, no question about it. That could have been a game-altering play on just one carry. And those are things that you have to avoid. Can't happen, cannot have a fumble into the end zone that's recovered by the opposing team. Brutal play, but he was so good the rest of the day that he still ends up with a positive 0.45 grade. Josh Myers, plus 0.35. Thought this is one of the best days. I thought Josh in the first half was unbelievable. Easily, and I mean easily, the best I've ever seen him play. Now, the second half was a bit more of a struggle for him, did not have the same level of intensity or physicality in the second half, which is sort of the Josh Myers story, right? It's just that inconsistency. And I don't know how many million times I have to say it. You go and put any of his games on tape, and there will be a handful of plays where he looks amazing, and a handful where you're like, this is a practice squad guy. And we saw a little bit in this game. First half, unbelievable. Second half, below average. And he was trending to be one of the highest graded players, probably second behind only Willis in this game. And then in the second half, it just fell off a little bit. So just still want to see that consistency, but not taking anything away from his first half. A huge reason that Jacobs in this offensive line was working so well in the first half was because of the way that Myers was blocking. So still ends up in the positive. And then Sean Rhyan too, plus 0.3. Thought he played better than Morgan in this one. Thought he was really good as a run blocker. Got to the second level on a couple plays. Had a really great block where he blocked 3 different players on one play on a Josh Jacobs run that got well down the field. So really nice day from Sean Rhyan as well. And all 3 of those guys, Jacobs, Myers, Ryan, graded pretty well into the positive in this one. Top 3 defensive players. Number 1, Eric Wilson, plus 1.25. Plays 8 snaps and has a plus 1.25 grade. PFF, I think, had like a 99 point something grade on him. It's tough to do better in 8 snaps than what Eric Wilson did. He had the great play on the third down on the option play where he covered the quarterback and the running. Like Eric Wilson, 30-year-old journeyman Eric Wilson on an option play stopped both Anthony Richardson and Jordan Taylor, 2 absolute freaks on the same play. Like just unbelievable stuff from him. He had the interception, which is a great read, and then executing and making sure he actually picked it off as well, and then forces a fumble. Like, what an absolute stud of an 8-play performance that Eric Wilson had. The other plays, there was nothing negative. So just a really, really good performance. I get it's a small sample size, but man, you cannot be or have more of an efficient day than Eric Wilson had in this one. So great day for him. And talk about a grade per play. I mean, he just threw the roof in this one for him. So nice day for him from him overall. Xavier McKinney plus 0.85. Interception wasn't like a massive positive just because, he's reading that from the back end. It's not like he had to jump a route or do anything. Like, he stayed in his spot. He made a good reaction to it, but that ball just got thrown to him, right? So that's one you should pick. It's still a very positive grade, but nothing like astronomical. And then the rest of the day was just solid. Tackled well, took good angles. There's one play where two receivers are coming down and he perfectly plays like right in between them to give himself a chance at both if it goes in either direction. Just some really good stuff all the way around. And he continues to be as advertised free agent signing. He's only going to get better in this defense. And he's been really freaking good through 2 weeks so far. And then Isaiah McDuffie, yes, I continue to be on I think Isaiah McDuffie is playing better than people recognize. I know PFF, this is one that they and I disagree on pretty vehemently. I know some of the coverage stats aren't necessarily great. I think there've been some tough matchups, not because he can't do it, just in the positions that he's been put in to try to make some of those coverage plays. The Saquon one a couple weeks ago is a great indicator of that. But he is rallying to the football in almost every play. I think he's tackling well. You're not seeing missed tackles from McDuffie. When he gets the opportunity to shoot inside and make a play, he is doing so. I feel like he's been better with his gap integrity than most. I like what I see from McDuffie so far. I'm not super, I don't think that this is like a long-term answer at linebacker. I'm not saying McDuffie is the be-all end-all at that second linebacker position. I'm just saying through 2 games, I think he's playing really solid football and deserves a little bit more credit than maybe he's getting on maybe some of the national scene and even from some fans who have watched him these past 2 weeks. I like what McDuffie's doing. And again, he ended up as my 3rd highest graded player on defense this week. Bottom 3 on defense, we've talked about Quay a ton. He was my lowest graded player, negative 1.05. I still think there's a lot of stuff going on in front of Quay on the defensive line that can help him a little bit. I think he needs to stop taking false steps. We had a great conversation with Mike Wall about that for tomorrow's episode. And I think he just needs to play with a bit more confidence, see everything, and then just react and make the play. That's been an issue for him, though. And some of these plays where he's reading, reacting, and trying to get to the running back, it's just not going the way that you would want it to. And I get he led the team in tackles again, was in position to make the interception, even if he dropped it. He had the pressure on the Xavier McKinney interception. It's not all bad from Quay, but there's not enough good. And there is too much inconsistent play from him on film. To me, again, I see people are like, Quay's actually doing really good. And like, there's just this Quay defense. It is okay to point out when somebody's not playing correctly. This is not haterade. This is not bias. I like Quay. I think he has the ability to be a good linebacker in this league. I really thought that this defense would be a step in the right direction for him, and I still think there's a long way to go. Let's not judge it based off of 2 weeks so far. Let's see if he can really get this defense down and be a difference maker. But through 2 weeks, he hasn't been, at least not in the positive direction, and that's okay to say. There's nobody that's more hoping that he bounces back and has a great week 3 than me. I hope he goes out and absolutely crushes it. And if he does pick off that pass, we're probably feeling a little bit different about his game. Like if he has a game-sealing interception, that's certainly one on the very positive side of the ledger. But in a very Quay way, he just drops it and, he misses out on that opportunity. So I just want to see him play better. I think he can. I hope he will. But he needs to show that he can go out there and play more consistent football. Kingsley Enagbare, second most snapped edge rusher in this game, behind only Rashawn Gary. They rotated those guys quite a bit, but Enagbare ended up with the second most snaps at edge. Didn't see a ton. He did an okay job setting the edge, did an okay job with contain, got blocked one-on-one, was not really able to collapse the pocket in any significant way. So just nothing egregious here, just no real positives. And again, when you get a couple plays where you're just kind of blocked rather easily and you don't have any positives to counteract it, you're going to end in the negative. And that's kind of what we got from Kingsley Enagbare in this one. Keyshawn Nixon, negative 0.35. Couple plays where he's just not sticky in coverage. He got a little bit lucky with some balls that were dropped and some plays that weren't made by the wide receivers, some bad throws by Anthony Richardson. I'm not still on it's time to, get Javon Bullard in the slot or time to bench Keyshawn. I do, and I'll say it for like the billionth time this week, I do think there's a way that you can get Bullard some snaps in the slot. I think there's ways that you can get Jair some snaps in the slot. And I don't think Nixon needs 60 to 70 snaps in the slot. I would like to see him more around that, maybe 40 snaps in the slot. Maybe you get 10 for Jair and 10 for Bullard, and that ends up around the 60 and whatever, and split them up the rest of the way. But overall, I still think he's the starting slot corner. I'm good with that. DVOA, I saw Aaron Schatz post that he was doing some initial numbers for the corners of DVOA and had Keyshawn Nixon as one of his better corners so far. So I know PFF and some of the next gen stats that Justice mentioned earlier this week, not high on Nixon. I have 2 negative grades on him through 2 weeks, but even then I'm not panicking. I think he can still play in that spot. I want to give him a little bit more time. I think there's a role for Keyshawn. I think they're still just trying to figure out exactly what that is. And again, from a DVOA standpoint, sounds like Nixon is doing well in their formula so far. Some other noteworthy defensive grades. Devontae Wyatt plus 0.6. Thought he had a really nice game. Of course, had that sack. Not able to get a ton of pressure based on what schemes they're calling and what concepts they're calling, but overall, I thought he had a nice game. LVN plus 0.35, my highest graded edge rusher through 2 weeks. I know he's not playing a ton, but I think they're taking him along slowly, giving him about almost just a little less than 20 snaps per game, which I think is a great place for him to be at right now. And what I'm loving is in those 20 snaps, he is able to use his effort and his speed and his athleticism and his motor to go get after people, and it's working so far. A couple twists and stunts that they've used him on that he's been able to get pressure, but I like what I've seen out of LVN. There is some growth there. We'll see if that translates into more snaps or if they just kind of keep him around that 20 snap mark and allow him to just kind of use all that raw athleticism in little, spurts here and there. Carrington Valentine plus 0.55 grade. I thought he was fantastic in this game. I can see why they wanted to give him more snaps after the way that he was playing. Hopefully, again, his injury and why he was held back in the Hudson Center on Wednesday is nothing that is to be worried about, and he can go out and play at a high level again on Sunday, because I think he might just be Green Bay's number 2 corner right now. And then Javon Bullard, second straight game in the positive, plus 0.5 grade. He is playing really good football in his first 2 weeks in the NFL. Could not be more excited about him. He has been as advertised, and that safety duo of McKinney and Bullard is just light years and night and day different than what we saw out of the safety play from a year ago. So exciting to watch those guys. And that's not even including in Evan Williams, who I think is going to go on to have a very nice career. Had a little bit of a negative grade in this one, nothing egregious, but he's going to be totally fine. But I love what Bullard and McKinney are doing on the back end of that defense. So just to recap, top 3 on offense, Willis, Jenkins, and Kraft. Bottom 3, there really were none. We're not even going to go over it because everyone graded neutral or better. Top 3 on defense, Eric Wilson, Xavier McKinney, Isaiah McDuffie, and bottom 3, Quay Walker, Kingsley Enagbare, and Keyshawn Nixon. Make sure to check out the full grades over on PackerReport.com. That is going to do it for me for now. Make sure to check out today's episode with Paul Brettel if you have not done so already. And tomorrow, of course, we've got Mike Wall for our Thursday episode, which is always can't miss. Shout out to our Hall of Fame and All-Pro members, Most Hated Minnesotan, PJ Wynn, John Wild, Shea Dad, Brandon Paletta, Jennifer Wright, Boom Handle, Donald Lee, Lori Lord, Baby QB, David McCluskey, Donald Decker, Dan Miller, Alex Hwang, Arnaldo Espinoza, Peter Ritaka, SoCal Pack, Dan Guessford, Love and Football, Jay Zimmerman, B. Brown, and Jay Foreman. I will see you guys soon, but until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.